Following a music practice plan can seem overwhelming and a waste of time, but a goal without a plan is just a wish. If you want to save time and make better progress, the devil is always in the detail, which is why I've put together these step-by-step instructions to make your music practice schedule easier to plan. Hi, I'm Fiona from Learn Music Together, and I help adults grow and develop their musical skills so they can play with confidence by sharing my Play Music Better methodologies, which focus on learning how to practice effectively. If you're serious about improving your skills as a musician, planning your practice sessions is a must. It's easy to get bogged down in the details of technique, theory and repertoire, but without a real plan, you might find yourself just ambling along without any real focus or direction. By taking the time to plan out your practice sessions in advance, you will get more focused and intentional about your actions. In this video, I'm going to share why you might be putting up some resistance to planning your music practice and some tips to help you get started. And then I'll share my step-by-step guide for you to follow so that you can set yourself up for success right from the get-go when you start learning a new piece of music. And make sure to grab your free guide on how to make a music practice plan. The link's in the description below this video, and the guide includes examples for both beginners and advanced players, plus you'll get a template to use when planning your next piece to learn. Before I look at how to plan your music practice sessions with you, I want to share a few reasons why you might be putting up some resistance to making a practice plan. Because if you don't address these, you're unlikely to succeed. Now let me know in the comments below if you've used one of the following excuses to justify why you skip the planning stages of practice. One of the most common reasons people resist planning their music practice is a perception that they've got a lack of time. Many people lead busy lives and feel like they don't have enough time to dedicate to practice without needing to do extra things like make a plan. However, planning music practice can actually help people manage their time more effectively. By creating a set schedule and prioritising your practice time, you'll get more done and make better progress. Another reason people resist planning their music practice is the fear of failure. People worry that they won't be able to meet the goals that they set for themselves, or they'll make mistakes and not meet those deadlines. Hence, if you avoid setting goals and you avoid planning out your practice, then it's impossible to fail. Sometimes people resist the planning stages of practice simply because of lack of motivation. Without a clear sense of purpose or direction, it can be difficult to stay motivated and committed to a practice routine. You might not yet have experienced the value of planning or the success it can bring. It's often not as much fun as the physical practice, and it can seem tedious if you frame it in that way. Yet if we tell ourselves that by planning our practice sessions properly in advance, we'll master that piece quicker, we're more likely to see the value. And once you've made a practice plan and you've experienced success, you'll be much more likely and motivated to do it again every time you learn a new piece. Procrastination is a common challenge for many people when it comes to planning out their music practice. You may feel overwhelmed by the prospect of creating a practice plan, or worry about how much detail to include, what to write down, where to begin. So you just put it off and keep with your old methods, and you keep telling yourself that you will one day get round to starting a practice plan. Before I dive into my step-by-step guide, I just want to share a few tips to help you plan more effectively and help you get started if you've never done this before. So tip number one, when planning your music practice, it's important to set realistic goals that you can achieve. Start with small, achievable goals and gradually increase the difficulty as you improve. This can help you stay motivated and avoid you getting overwhelmed. Tip number two, create a schedule for your practice sessions and stick to it as much as possible. This can help you stay organised and ensure that you have enough time to practice everything you need to work on. It's also worth sharing your practice schedule with other people that you live with so that they know what times that you are busy and they can avoid disturbing you. Finally, I recommend putting a copy in your practice diary and setting some notifications on your mobile phone to remind you of your practice times. This is particularly helpful for those that have good intentions but don't always see them through. The next tip, when planning your practice sessions, focus on specific skills and techniques that you want to improve. This can help you make the most of your practice time and ensure that you're making progress towards those musical goals that you set. And I'm going to cover practice journals in another video to be released very soon. In doing either of these things, it'll help you identify areas where you need to focus your efforts more and give you a sense of accomplishment as you see your progress develop over time. Reviewing and planning your practice sessions involves a lot of what we call higher order thinking, which helps you consolidate your goals and whatever it is you're trying to learn, and overall your level of progress. When you write things down, you're more likely to process your actions, and it allows you to discover opportunities for improvements, and you'll see the results of your efforts. Based on this, you can make more focused action in the future. So do make sure that you write your practice plan out. Don't just dream it up in your head and think you'll remember it. Now, practice can be frustrating and you'll undoubtedly have peaks and troughs in your levels of success. When the chips are down, looking through your practice diary and your practice plans can help you realise how far you've come and where there are opportunities to make improvements. It also allows you to keep a record of your past. We'd all like to think that we can remember things, but the reality is that even our biggest achievements can sometimes get lost in our memories. So by writing things down, you'll have a greater insight into your musical journey. And you can read through your achievements and often enhance your level of self-trust and belief when you're not feeling quite so inspired. So if you're ready to take your music practice to the next level, it might be time to start planning. Now just remember, I've put together a guide to help you do this. It's free. You'll find the link in the description below this video. When you start to plan, you want to write down when you are going to practice. Ideally, as a beginner or intermediate player, you want to do 2 sessions per day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon or evening. Keep practice sessions short, to 20 minutes ideally, and don't be tempted to extend them. There are reasons for this which go beyond the scope of this video, but for now, know that short practice sessions are a great way to improve your skills and build habits because they work with the natural limitations of our brain's attention and memory. Studies have shown that our ability to focus and retain information decreases over time, and the optimal focus time ranges between 20 and 30 minutes. By breaking down practice sessions into shorter time frames, we allow our brains to stay engaged and focused, and this leads to more effective practice sessions, more progress and better results. Now, before learning any piece of music, make sure to spend some time annotating your score and do some research on the composer. I've got a separate video on what to annotate and what to look for in your music, so I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. But know that you want to look for things like which parts of the music repeat, what the key signature is, any tricky rhythms, any challenges within the piece, etc, etc. But like I say, I've got a separate video on that which I'll link to both in the description of this one and at the end. So to help you get started with the planning, I want you to answer the following questions in your practice diary about the piece you are learning. Now, some of these questions that I'm about to share may be a little challenging if your theory knowledge is limited. If that's the case, don't stress. Just do your best and think about taking a theory course in the future. I have a fantastic range of courses called Music Theory in Practice, which has different levels depending on your knowledge. So I'll put the details of that below. Remember, done is better than perfect. And if you get stuck, celebrate, because you are now more aware of something that you need to focus on and you can take action and do something about it. Learning how to plan your practice is a process. And like anything, you have to practice planning how to practice. So keep the expectations real to begin with, and don't procrastinate over whether you're doing everything correctly. Like I say, just get going because done is always better than perfect. For the purposes of this video, I'll use a short section of a piece called Canzonette. You're going to start by writing down what the title tells you about the character or mood of the piece. So in my example, a canzonette is a short song which has a light and airy character. If you've got a title that's generic, such as waltz, write down what the characteristics of the style are and whether the music will have a particular structure. And if you get really stuck, just try writing down some adjectives that will describe the mood of the piece. Then make a note of what key the piece is in and whether it changes at all. After that, write down the notes of chords 1, 4 and 5 in this key. These chords are likely to be the most commonly used in the piece, and the melody will probably be based on the notes from these chords. So in my example, the key is C major, so chord 1 is C, E, G, chord 4 is F, A, C, and chord 5 is G, B, D. And if you look at the music on the screen right now, you'll see that it only uses the notes from these chords. And you'll often find that's the case, particularly in classical music, that chords 1, 4 and 5 provide most of the notes that are in the melody. Now ask yourself if there are any scales and arpeggio patterns in the music. If so, which bars do they occur? Make a note of them. You'll see here that in bar 5, where my pink box is, there's a C major arpeggio, and then it's followed by a C major scale, which I've marked in green. Now you'll often find that the music doesn't contain a complete scale. It could just be the first 5 notes, or maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, but it's still worth making a note of so that you can practice these patterns as part of your warm-up routine. Now write down any sections of music that repeat. So often music is repeated, and if you are aware of this, it cuts down your workload. Now in this example I'm using, there is actually a repeat sign, so it's obvious, but often this isn't the case, so study your music carefully. Next, write down how many phrases there are to learn and what bar numbers each phrase begins and ends on. So here I've got 2 phrases to learn. It's bars 1 to 4 and then bars 5 to 8. Take a look at the time signature of the piece next and write down what it means. So in my example, it's 2/4 time, so there are 2 crotchet beats or 2 quarter note beats per bar, and it's a duple time signature, so the meter will have to be a strong beat followed by a weak beat, and you might like to mark those on the music as well. Next, make a note of all the performance markings. These are things such as the dynamics, the Italian terms, the tempo indications, etc. So the piece is andantino here, which means it's slightly faster, although it can be in some cases slightly slower than andante, so probably around 80 beats per minute. It's also marked cantabile, which means in a singing style, and there's a rit at the end of bar 8, so I need to remember to slow down. The piece begins mezzo forte, meaning quite loud, and I need to get louder or crescendo when I play the arpeggio in bar 5, and then get softer when playing the descending C major scale in the following bar. Now you can see that I write down my answers in a descriptive way, as this helps form stronger cognitive connections with the music. So I suggest you give that a go as well. Don't just write down that the music was forte, be a bit more specific. The music begins forte perhaps, and then describe what the music is doing when it makes a change of dynamic. That way, when you come to play the music, you've got a good chance that you'll remember what you wrote down in the planning stages. You also want to write down how you will communicate the mood and character of the piece. So in this example, I'd write something along the lines of, I need to make sure the melody has a bright sound and is well balanced with the left hand. The legato touch needs to be smooth, as if I was singing the notes, and there needs to be a feeling of simplicity. I'll need to take care not to clip the ends of phrases, such as the second note of a slur, as that will detract from the gracefulness of the piece. So now you've written down how you're going to communicate the character of the piece, you want to make a note of the challenges in carrying out these musical intentions. So make a note of any particular challenges within the piece. You want to get specific here, so think about things such as intonation, balance, fingering patterns, coordination, difficult rhythms, dynamic contrasts, etc. Make a note of all of them that you'll find difficult. So now you've got a list of all the challenges in the piece, the next step is to create some warm-up exercises that will help you overcome these. And again, I've got a separate video that goes into much more depth on that. So if you need help with that, again, I'll put the link in the description below and a link at the end of this video. Now that you've got all the information that you need from the piece, it's time to put it together into a practice plan. So you want to divide your piece into bite-sized sections. I usually suggest 1 phrase or 4 bars per day, and I like to colour code the phrases using my traffic light system. So I'll mark bars that are challenging, which means they'll require more focused practice, in red. I'll mark bars that I can sight read slowly, so not up to speed, in yellow. And the bars that I know are easy to play, I'll mark those in green. And just a side note here, people often ask me, well, how do you do that? Because the colours are going to change, aren't they? When you've done some practice, one would hope that the red bars progress to being yellow bars, and then obviously green, which means you can play them. And I use highlighter tape to do this because highlighter tape is fantastic. You can put it on, it's reusable, and it peels off, it doesn't damage your music. And like I say, it's reusable, so you can move it around in future pieces as well. You could, of course, do another copy of the music or use a system of like little dots. You can get those stickers that peel on and off quite easily as well. Now it's time to allocate your bars to your practice plan, and I like to start with the most challenging ones first. So when I form a plan, I'll put those challenging bars at the start, and that way the learning curve will be downhill rather than uphill, which is always much more motivating. So write down which phrase and which warm-up exercise you will practice in each session. Then make a note of what you will do in each practice session to make progress. So today was all about writing a practice plan and getting organised before you begin learning a piece. I'm going to cover what to write in your practice diary at the end of your sessions and how to measure your progress in next week's video. So as of right now, I would love you to take action and create a music practice plan for the next piece that you'll be learning. And as I say, don't forget to grab that guide on how to make a practice plan. The link's below in the description. This guide will help you get started, and it includes examples of practice plans both for beginners and more advanced players. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, just give it a go. And if you're likely to procrastinate, set a timer for 15 minutes and do the best that you can in the time frame available. Start by answering the questions that I suggested in this video, and then dividing the piece into bite-sized sections that you can allocate to each day you practice. Now, spending quality time making a practice plan is invaluable. So if you find yourself doubting the process, remind yourself of the benefits that I mentioned right back at the start of this video. And if you've enjoyed what I've shared today and found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be helping it reach more learners just like yourself. And you'll also see on the screen right now some more videos that will help you get started making a music practice plan so that you can grow and develop your musical skills and play with confidence. Thanks for watching.